Hi, and welcome to the video. I've been asked to do a sample scan using my Shining 3D Einscan SE scanner, which is an optical scanner to scan in a model. And I've chosen a rather complex one here. This is a toy from a Happy Meal. It's a Mojo Jojo figure. And I've chosen him because he's got what I think is something that the Einscan struggles with scanning, and that is very dark black coloration. So this scanner, being an optical scanner, relies on light and dark shadow patterns, basically to take pictures of the object and create a point cloud, which then you will use to create a mesh of the object, a 3D mesh. So I've chosen bright and dark. This object kind of is both here, and I'm going to click apply. And now I'm going to start my scan. Now I've chosen, if I can scroll over here for you. I've chosen right camera, so it has two cameras in it, so I've chosen to use both. Obviously with the turntable, I'm only going to take 8 steps. You can go up to 180, so obviously a very long scan to do that, but if you don't want to try to capture maximum detail of an object, that's what I would recommend. You're moving this number up until you get the quality that you basically want, and you'll be able to see rather quickly as to whether or not you're getting the level of quality you want. And then HDR is on, so let's just kind of scroll this back over, and let's start the process. So I'm going to click Start Scan. Now right now I'm doing this with just my average ceiling fan light turned on, pretty low wattage bulbs, probably only 60 watt if that. So I would say actually a poorly lit room, but bright enough. So it's going to start the process. Now I've already pre-calibrated, so I shouldn't have to do that. And right away, what I notice about this model here is that as it's starting to build the point cloud, you can tell it's able to see light colors. So his white hat, his purple cape, his face is a green color, his ears are green, kind of a neon green, his boots are white, but his arms and his cheeks are black. So let me just kind of move this over a little bit here. Well, you can see that from the camera, yeah. So right away, this is what I've noticed about this. And even if I were to switch this to a dark room, which is normally how I scan, is in the dark with the lights off, we're going to get the same result with this model. There's nothing that I really can do in this kind of situation when I'm shooting something that I think really just isn't reflective enough. If it's too reflective, it can't see it, it distorts it. If it's transparent, obviously it's not going to reflect and it doesn't see that. If it's so black that it can't distinguish the light from the shadow pattern, then it can't see it either. And that's really kind of the case here with this figure. I've actually tried here for a couple of, I don't know, probably 30-40 minutes, just different variations, and ultimately I just couldn't, there's nothing I could do to get the black plastic. So in this case, if you really wanted a 3D mesh model of this Mojo figurine, well then what would you do? Well, one is I could capture as much as I could possibly capture using the scanner, and then import it into another application and build the parts manually that I needed. So for example, I could import this into, once I create my mesh, I can import it into Mesh Mixer, and then I could manually rebuild objects, right? I could try to reconstruct the pieces that I wanted here. And so as we see, we're done, and you can see right? Basically, the black didn't capture anything that was black. It didn't capture obviously anything it couldn't really see. So stuff that was he's standing up, so you can't see from beneath him right now. So what you do at this point is you just rotate your model to a different orientation and you scan again. So I'm happy with this. I'm going to continue. I'm going to continue my scan, and it's going to take another basically measurement, create another point cloud, and then I'll have the option to merge those two clouds. And this is how you basically build the point cloud for your model. So it's pretty easy how it works, or pretty cool how it works. As long as you're not doing lots of scans per rotation, you, as you can see, can go through a model rather quickly. Um, my experience with it actually has been really good. I It's not often that I am scanning something this complex. Most of my stuff is rather simple. I scan a lot of like biometric molds, and so they are organically shaped um, objects, and they're made of silicone. They're silicone molds, so they're typically like a light blue or a light purple color, and very easy to see, and not that reflective, so I can scan them very well. I've had great success. I had a bag clip break, and I, um, you know, decided I'd try to fix it. Why throw something away if I can just print the part that broke? So it's exactly what I did. I took the part, I super glued it back together, and then I scanned it. And I imported that into Mesh Mixer. In fact, let me just launch Mesh Mixer real quick and see if I can show you what that looked like here. There we go. So yeah, this is how it turned out. And I don't think this was the end result. I want to say that I modified this a little bit further potentially. Can't remember now. It's been a while. I think what I did with my final model is I may have added some reinforcement by just adding more material to this seam right here, because that's where it snapped. You can kind of see the super glue line. And yeah, that's what I did. As you can see, it just I didn't have to model this. I just scanned it. The only thing I had to do right here, there were some holes where the little pin went through, and it couldn't recognize. I made a watertight model, and when you do that, it automatically is going to try to fill in any gaps and make it watertight. And I'll show you that option whenever we finish the mesh. So all I did was I cut some holes by just making a cylinder and cutting those holes out. This was the spot where the magnet was glued, and yeah, I just exported this and imported it into my slicer, printed it, and boom, I had a new part out of PLA that was um, perfectly strong enough to function as a chip bag clip, essentially. So that's the level of detail you can get. So let's go back to Einscan. And we're going to say, yeah, we're happy with this. So you can see it's building the cloud, the point cloud, right? And you can continue scanning this. I mean, you'll see right now I'm up to 790,000 points. Let me make sure you can see that in the lower right-hand corner here. All right. So you can keep scanning, keep combining, but you'll find there are just with some models certain limitations where it just can't see a nook or a cranny that it needs, or it because it is relying on reflection, or the object is too transparent, too reflective, too dark. Just like in this case here with Mojo Jojo, he's just too dark. It just cannot get the reflection that we need off of the cheeks and the arms because they're black plastic. So what we can do at this point, we can go ahead and create our mesh. You have an option of a watertight model or an unwatertight. I'm going to say unwatertight. If I said watertight, it would just try to close in all of these blanks and completely distort the model. Now I have the option here to smooth or sharpen. You don't have to do these. If you're plan on smoothing or sharpening, in another program, I typically at least will sharpen it, and I usually smooth it also, but it's up to you. If I click apply, just to kind of show you the difference here, there it is. So it creates the meshed object, and then you are able to save the scan. Once you create this mesh, when you click save, you'll have the option to save it as an object file. It's 3.3mf.ply.stl. So any of the files that you normally use in your slicers or applications like um, okay, so basically it's saying its size. Those are the parameters that it has. 57 by 81 by 52, and I think he is around 80 millimeters tall, so that sounds just about right to me. Of course, you can scale him up or down if you need to, but you can do that in other software as well. Okay, so final thoughts. This is just up close of the Mojo character here. And you can see the black arms, the little black in his eyes, that black on his cheeks. That's basically what we were having trouble with scanning there. And just so you can kind of see behind him, it's so dark in there that you just had too much blocking the reflection, right? Just couldn't get enough light in there with the pattern to get that model. Now, final thoughts. What you could do, let's say you really just wanted to capture this model, you could make him all one light color. Basically, the kind of color you're going for is almost like a primer gray. You could spray paint this model with primer gray and probably get a wonderful capture, and then go back, print it and reproduce it, and then go back and paint that model however you wanted, right? Um, so that is one way to capture. If you have something that's tough, something that's transparent, but you really want it, you've got to cover it somehow. I've thought about playing with Plasti Dip to see if that would work. If I could spray a model like this in Plasti Dip and then remove the Plasti Dip after I was done. I just haven't committed to trying that. I haven't been scanning a lot lately, but we'll be back into it soon. So maybe I will give that a whirl to see how it works and let you guys know. But that's it. I hope this helps. Hope it answers your questions. If you have any more, feel free to add a comment or find me in the forums, and we'd be happy to try to answer them for you. Thanks a lot for watching.